You were expecting someone else?
Good evening, Mr. Bond fans. It is a bit of a different video this week, as I am joined by a couple of my very good friends from the Bond community, Mr. David Zaritsky of the Bond Experience and Warren Ringham of Cue the Music fame. And today we're going to be chatting through some fairly exciting things that are going to be coming up later this year. But first of all, I did want to get things started by asking you both, aside from Bond 26, which obviously is the most exciting thing that has us all very giddy right now. We have been getting quite a bit of Bond news recently these last few weeks, whether it be the Sean Connery 4Ks or the new IO interactive game coming out on Nintendo Switch. There's the rumors now of the theme park attraction here in the UK, which is crazy. Or even outside of those things, what has you most excited in the Bond news at the moment?
For me, I just think any news is exciting because it's felt like for so long we've had no news. So it's nice just for Bond to be on the topic of conversation for people outside of the real hardcore fans that all they really just want is some news, and we've actually got some news now. And I think, maybe sometimes with everything that's been going on, that's kind of been lost a little bit, that people are worried now about some people are worried about what might happen with the new ownership, but actually it's a great time because it's all anticipation. I mean, it could go either way, but there's the absolute, possibility that it could be the best thing we've ever had, the next film. So that's an exciting time. And I think if you can't enjoy those moments, then, what else can you enjoy apart from just praying that it's going to be good? I think you've got to anticipate that they're going to get it right. So everything that's coming out really is interesting to me.
Yeah, I would agree. I think to Warren's point, I've been enjoying the reaction and sometimes the fickleness, but I enjoy that too, of the Bond community. It's almost been like a hockey stick, the reaction of Bond 26 and Amazon and the producers and all these things, because you had so many people, more than 50% upset when it first happened. And now you've got a higher percentage going, oh, all right, I accept. Oh, it's not bad. Oh, these producers are pretty good. And now suddenly it's like 75% of the people are really excited. And I think happily, people are making a conscious choice to be positive. Like at first it was all kind of curmudgeony speculation. And now I'm just seeing so much positivity. But the number one news that I continue to be excited about and thrilled is that this hasn't created any kind of pause or stall in what the fans are doing. Like the fans had to create their own news. They had to create their own events. They had to create their own products because there really wasn't a big engine to do that, certainly around events. And even today, we're here to talk about an event that, was born out of the love of fans. But I keep seeing this, and boy, we are just peppered this year with some amazing fan things. So yeah, that's the news that I'm excited about.
That is a perfect segue, David,
Oh.
because I know that you have used the phrase before that, Bond fandom is like a do-it-yourself fandom, basically, in terms of there isn't a James Bond Comic Con, an official sort of put together by Eon Productions or what have you. And so when there are events where Bond fans come together, they're often like put together by, fans, by the fans for the fans kind of thing. And I think, cue the music, Warren certainly is like, top of my list, first that comes to mind every time I think of that, because I think I've been to several of your shows now, like over the years, and it's just seeing I mean, we're going to get into this in the conversation, but just how you are topping yourself like year on year, and every time I'm like last year with the Golden Girls, like having both Maud Adams and Britt Ekland at the show was just insane, and I was like, I don't know how he can top this, and here we are talking about your upcoming show with three money pennies. Like that's next level. So thank you, Warren. I guess I'm starting this off by saying,
Oh, my pleasure.
but how are you? Because we're recording this, and you are about to get on the road in quite a big way. How many shows exactly do you have lined up this year?
I think theatre shows it's 35, but I actually always get the number a bit mixed up because in the middle of all that we've got a few sort of private events, and we're doing some shows for a hotel chain over here called Warner. And so they're sort of residential weekends where people go and book the weekend out, and we're the entertainment as part of that. So you kind of got that in there as well. And then we've also got a few other private events as well. So it's hard to kind of keep the number in my head, but I think it's about 35 theatre shows. So a lot. It'll be our busiest ever year.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, that's mad. And the like the three money pennies, that's going to be the London show, right? So this is Sunday, the 12th of October, and that's the show where all the money pennies are going to be, right?
Yeah. So there's that's always kind of like the central point of the year. So the tour that we do is called kind of more of our standard show where we do all the songs and a few special items, normally a couple in there. You get all the songs always on those shows, and then things like maybe do a bit of Bond 77, or like this weekend we're doing Dirty Love as our special item. We're
Excellent.
kicking off the show this year. Actually, it's quite cool. I'm quite pleased with this because this is a real Bond geek's dream. But we're kicking off the show. The first thing you get when the curtain goes up is the GoldenEye trailer music into Bond 77, and then we do all the songs, and then later on in the show we have a special item which say this weekend's Dirty Love, and then once a year we try and clear a bit of space in that program because that's a 2.5 hour program. It's a long program to do all of the songs and not chop them up, which to this point, and I don't know whether I'll ever have to do it in the future, but to this point I've always refused to cut any of the songs down or or do them into suites or medleys or whatever. I've always wanted to keep them sacred. But then once a year when we have this really big show in London, we'll kind of shave a few of the songs off that are maybe considered, less popular. I don't want to say weaker, but let's say less popular. And there's always, there's with every song, there's always someone that says, that's my favorite and you didn't do it. But, maybe something like All Time High and Moonraker and, maybe let a couple of those slide for this one show a year where we then can bring in these big suites which have become sort of really popular with our followers and wider even. So whether it's like a couple of years ago we did this mammoth 12-minute For Your Eyes Only suite, which I can't remember if you were there for that one. Were you? You must have been there for Her Majesty's one.
Yeah. No, I was there for that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that went down an absolute storm. So,
Yeah.
and what we've done, what I've sort of started doing each year is aligning it with anniversary. So, as you say, last year, because it was the 50th Man with the Golden Gun anniversary, we sort of tied that in and had Morden Brit there. And I have to say, actually, it would be really unfair of me not to say that a big part of why we were able to pull that off last year was we collaborated with 007 GB, who booked them the day before as well. But this year I decided to go a different way completely, and I just came up with this idea. No, David was the only one that really knew about it, and I just said, what about doing something that's never been done before and bringing the three money pennies together? And there is still the tie-in with the anniversary because obviously you've got GoldenEye 30, Spectre 10, so that certainly covers off Samantha and Naomi. But then because Caroline Bliss is our amazing compere host for all of the shows that we do around the country, once I had the other two on board, I'd said to her, look, if I can get the other two, it'd be amazing to have all three of you together as a one-off thing that's never happened before, and probably never happen again. And yeah, and it just sort of all came together. And I mean, it was that when we sort of knew that it was going to happen, and I was sort of WhatsApping you, David, it was like, it was just amazing, wasn't it? I mean, we can't believe it.
It was amazing. And, these type of things, I think people appreciate the journey. So much of this does stem from Warren's imagination more than anything. Imagine if, and then usually I'm the person that says, "Oh, stop imagining things." And then he comes back with these almost impossible to dos, and to your point, keeps one upping the momentum. But this in particular, it was almost an emotional moment because Calvin, like you, and I know this, we have a lot of heart and warmth for the Moneypennies. I mean, the Moneypennies seem to galvanize our favorite bonds. And it would have been wonderful to get a few or one, but to get three and to get someone like Naomi Harris, who is, very topical and part of what I call our modern Bond momentum was a bit jaw dropping. And to Warren's earlier point, the fact that he has created moments. So think of the day as divided in three different main themes that could be individually experienced to really connect with those Moneypennies in a lot of different ways.
Well, that's another great segue, actually, David, because, I did want to...
All about the segues.
Well, I did want to touch on this because, Warren, you've not only, got this whole concert to put together, but as you say, the day's kind of like a three events in one, basically. So, it's quite a task for you to pull all this together. And the first event is the Moneypenny Memories. So this is the Q&A. David, are you hosting that?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So
Warren, do you want to kind of describe what's in store for the first group?
Well, just a very, very quick backstory to how it came about. Because when we did the Q&As in the concert in the previous years, it was kind of quite hard to get the balance right, because obviously there are those that want to hear as much as they can in the Q&As, and there are those that are there for the music. So what I decided to do last year and this year was actually have a separate Q&A and then still have them as part of the show. So you're still going to get all three of them on stage at some point, probably all together, and then separately as well, but for little short sequences. And then because you've got three huge names. I mean, particularly when you consider the fact that Samantha Bond and Naomi have never done really anything like this at all. I mean, Samantha Bond, we haven't really heard talk about Bond for many years. So there's so much to dive into there. I mean, how many, quick bit of maths here, how many films are you talking? 9 films between the three of them. Is that right? 5 plus 4? No.
11.
Yeah, because Naomi didn't do all 5, did she? She did 3.
It's 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she did
3 for
3,
Naomi,
Samantha Bond 4, Caroline Bliss 2. Yeah.
2. This testing
I'm not
of
good at the
maths
mathing.
here. Yeah. So and because there's so much there, I talked to David about it, because David does a brilliant job of coming out with the questions. I mean, there was nobody better at doing this, absolutely. And I said to him, look, we actually got so much to get into here. We could actually have a separate subject for the 2 events. So there's the pre-show event, which is going to be half an hour in the Waldorf Hotel, which is right next door to where the concert is in the Theatre Royal. And there's a whole load of things going on in there. There's fun casinos, there's entertainment. There might even be some other exhibitors and stuff. We're going to see how we go along this year. But there'll be lots and lots to do. And of course, international travelers coming from all over the world to see this concert. We have this every year. People come from America. There's even some people bought tickets from like Pakistan and all over Europe and all sorts. It's incredible. So there's a real social aspect to it, and especially with guys like yourself there, and that it gives people, your supporter base an opportunity to come and actually meet you in person and shake your hand and, mix with the real stars. But yeah, so there's the pre-show part, then there's the concert part, which they'll also be involved in, and then after all of that, we've got the third part of the day, which is the after show, which is always really popular because, we've a long day with so many amazing parts to it. It's nice just to be able to relax, have a drink, rub shoulders with everybody that's been, and just reflect on the day.
I'm taking the following day off work, the Monday. I've learned my
Smart.
lesson from the last couple of times. Like,
That's
yeah.
really smart. Yeah, the whole weekend does turn into a party, and the I would say the absolute entree, if this weekend was a meal, the entire Sunday is the main course, which is so astounding. Quick question for you, Warren, and I know that Calvin and I had discussed this. So the three parts of the day, obviously individual tickets. How does that sort of roll out? What is the first portion, if you will? Is that divided in any way? And what does that ticket look like?
Yeah, so exactly. So the first part is one ticket on its own, which is actually 3.5 hours long, and that's the Q&A. But then, as I say, there's all the extra entertainment that's going to be that come with that. And so you can buy that ticket through our website and only through our website. You can just email me and I can sort that out. It's an easy thing to go on the Cue the Music website and you can find that. The same thing with the after show party. In the middle of it, you've got the concert. Now that's slightly different. There's two options there. You can either buy some limited tickets that I've still got available, which are my tickets that I have exclusive sales of, that you can have a look on our website and see what ones are available and buy it through me. Or you can just go directly to the Theatre Royal website where there's a lot more ticket options. Though I would say I've got the best seats still. There's still some really good seats on both options, but if you're just coming, particularly if you're coming as a two, I'd start on the Cue the Music website, have a look at the options there, and see which, if there's something that you really fancy on there, and just drop me an email and I can arrange that directly with them.
Yeah. What is this mysterious VVIP ticket?
So I've only got a couple of those left, actually. That's because originally we did have the opportunity to get a photo with the Moneypennies, and that sold out in about 21 minutes or something.
Wow.
The VVIP ticket is the only way left to do that, but it's a much more expensive ticket. But I've actually got exclusive use of this lovely little room in the Theatre Royal, which overlooks Covent Garden. It's got its own little balcony, bathroom area as well. And so after the Q&A event in the Waldorf later on, before the concert, the three Moneypennies are going to go there, and that's limited to just 12 people there. Where you get them for half an hour to talk to them, selfie signings, they'll do anything like that. And then again at the interval, they're going to have, I think the interval will be about half an hour. So they'll have another half an hour in there with them. And that room is, just to yourself. So yeah, I think I've only got about 4 of those tickets left. But again, you can email me through the website.
12 guests, give or take, and then 3 Moneypennies. So really, I mean, 15, that's a very intimate moment.
Yeah. And the more importantly than the 3 Moneypennies, Mr. Calvin Dyson is going.
Wait, you're letting Calvin into that?
Yeah.
Don't let him in there. That's a terrible idea.
I think we may. So, Calvin, are you okay with us tranquilizing you in some respect?
I think I'll have to be. Yeah. Ply me with some Jack Daniels beforehand.
Calvin, can I ask you a question? Because
go for it. Yeah.
I know that. I mean, we're fanboying on Warren a little bit today, but when you heard about 3 Moneypennies coming together to celebrate around the music of Bond, I mean, what was your reaction just as a pure fan?
Oh, it was, I mean, it's Warren, I think you said this earlier on, just about how this doesn't happen. Like this kind of meeting never happens and probably never will happen again. It is, the living Moneypennies, it's all of them that are still alive together. So it's something really very special that you're, pulling together here. And that was my first sort of instinct, just sort of like, obviously I had to pick my jaw off the floor and shove it back in. But I was like, once that was done, I was like, wow, this is really something quite special to even see, like, the 3 of them together. Like it's, yeah.
That's the funny thing. We're all going to be in the room when they come together because they've never been in the room together, the 3 of them. So that'll be really, really interesting. And what people probably don't know is that Samantha and Caroline were really, really good friends when they were younger, like best friends. Went through acting school together and stuff. So they already have a great relationship anyway. And everyone that I do know, I have a couple of people that I know who know Naomi personally, and they all say that she is the most lovely,
Yes.
down to earth, just
Yeah.
really, really, unassuming person ever. So, yeah, between the three of them, it's going to be sort of really interesting. I'm kind of really excited to hear what Samantha Bond's got to say because
Yeah.
I don't really think she's done very. Well, maybe you guys know more, but I
No,
can't
no.
really think of her doing much.
You're right. She's hardly done anything, and what a lot of people don't understand is that she's a prolific actress
Mm,
and very much working steadily in big
yeah,
motion pictures and TV and things like. I see her all the time crop up, and she's the same person. Like
yeah.
she's the way she acts, the way she emotes. I'm so excited to meet her. But I have to tell you, Naomi Harris, from what I've heard from the brands, especially, is that, and this is an important distinction about a person in general. She doesn't look through you. She doesn't look over your shoulder. When she speaks to you, she speaks to you. It's just
Mm.
you and her. And that is a gift when you have that type of connection with an individual, especially when you're surrounded by so many people. So I think Calvin will put that to the test. But I do. By the way, Calvin, I do have a follow-up question. Are you bringing your Barry Manilow record to be signed?
I'll have to. Yeah, I can't miss that
Right?
opportunity. Yeah. Well,
Can I ask?
actually,
Can I ask you a question,
oh,
both of you?
sure.
Which other three would you put as your top tier Moneypenny, your favorite Moneypenny out of the
Oh,
three?
really? You're going to do that publicly?
We should do it afterwards, shouldn't we? Yeah, after you've met them.
I'll let Calvin go first. It's his channel.
As a Brosnan fanboy, I do have a special place in my heart for Samantha Bond, and you're right. It's like I think in terms of significant interviews and programs that she's appeared on, Mariam Darbo's Bond Girls Are Forever, and that was 20 years ago now. She gave in interview there, but really she doesn't have much of an opportunity to talk about Bond all that much, I guess. So it's, she's so busy promoting other things that she's a part of. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, Samantha Bond is yeah.
that's a good answer. My answer is complicated, and actually, it's a lot closer to Calvin than maybe he would realize.
Yeah.
My answer is I would have dinner with Samantha Bond. I want to spend a lot of time with her, hearing about her moments with Brosnan because I love Brosnan, and I think there's some great stories there. Naomi, I'm almost intimidated by. Like she's so integral to the recharacterization, if you will. And that's part of my questions. Warren has seen my questions. By the way, Warren can attest to this. When he told me he was getting all three, I think it was maybe 23 hours. I had a list of pretty damn good questions. And I'm like, Warren, here are the questions, in part A and part B. Because I am so in awe of all three of them, not just two of them, not just one of them, but there's something almost a little nerve-wracking about Naomi Harris that will take me a moment to be, I hate to say this, but wow, like, big, kind of Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean, think about all the movies that she's been in, and just taking that all in is a bit intimidating.
Oscar nominated. I mean, yeah,
Oscar
she's
nominated, Emmy nominated,
yeah.
Tony Award winning. None of these
Hmm.
are true.
Hmm. Well, actually, David,
BAFTA.
I do have a question for you regarding because obviously you're going to be interviewing the Moneypenny Memories event, and then you're also going to be hosting, the Cue the Music show as well. So
Yeah.
actually, sort of comparing that, where the Moneypennies will be making appearances as well. When it comes to your questions,
Yeah.
obviously you put some preparation into it. What are the different kind of considerations you have for like the pre-event and then like the main Cue the Music show, or isn't there a distinction?
No, there is a major distinction. It's a
Mm,
really great question. So the pre-event, it's a chance to be a little bit more intimate. So we can actually talk about their journeys and, what do they think about the Bond today? When you're up on stage in front of thousands, literally thousands of Bond fans and people, you have to stay a little bit above the fray.
Mm,
So you want them to share stories. Like I want to make sure that I'm talking less and they're talking much more.
mm,
And one of the things that people need to realize, and this is a great confessional moment on your channel, um, Warren is like one of my best friends. So I go into this, it's not a transactional thing. Like I want to do good by him and his people. I mean,
mm,
his people are the sweetest, most engaging people. People see this as a business, but at the core of this, these are just wonderful people that I've broken bread with. I've done things with Warren. I obviously know his kids and family. Like, you want to do right by them. But doing right is about knowing the audience. So it's different talking to 100 people or 12 people or 3,000 people.
Mm.
And you have to understand what are the dynamics of the reaction. The other thing I will say, and Warren can attest to this, you have to be ready because these are personalities that can change your questions and
Yeah, yeah.
change the trend, the trajectory of what you're going to say. So you can't be scripted, and I'm much better at improv anyway. And you have to, a good interviewer listens and
Yeah.
talks to the last thing that they said versus what you want to ask. A lot
Mm.
of interviewers are like, all right, you answered that. Now my next question is, don't do that. Like,
Mm.
share things back and forth, and then you have a conversation. And that's why even like Britt Eklund, she was like grabbing my arm on stage. Maud, the same thing, that you have to make them feel comfortable,
Mm.
and you have to make them feel comfortable to share because they're sharing something very intimate in front of a sea of faces.
Mm. Can I say that David did an amazing job interviewing, particularly Brit and Maud, because, bless their hearts, they're in their 80s now. And you're talking about a film that was 50 years ago. And actually, what you realized over the couple of days was that, their memories weren't, by their own admission, weren't
Yeah.
weren't as perhaps as good as you would love them to be, because you want to hear, as Bond fans, we want to hear all those tiny little details. So actually, it was a real dance for David to actually, fill up that interview and make it and really flesh it out, because sometimes the questions, maybe their memories weren't so great, but David did a really great job of walking through and keeping it really interesting and actually getting some really interesting facts out of them, I thought.
Thank you. It's funny. Wayborn was phenomenal. She was like holding my hand backstage because she was so nervous. And then when she came out, pieces of her clothing were falling off of her. And so we made a joke about it, about a striptease. And Britt Eklund sort of did the same thing where she was talking about, and again, in front of thousands of people at the Hippodrome, listen to me, at the Millennium
Virtually,
Dome.
yeah.
She was talking about these sexual escapades. And so we made it into a joke. And she looks at me, she grabs my arm and she goes, "Are we having sex?" And my wife is in the audience. She's cracking up. But those are the moments. Those are the moments that people leave there and share with others. It's not
Yeah.
so much the rehearse moments. It is the off the cuff moments. It's the moments where Warren Ringham will say things like, "I'm wearing this tuxedo, but it feels like a tracksuit." And the
Oh
people that
God.
made the tuxedo don't hate that. They love it because it's such a memorable line.
Yeah, so to the backstory on that was that I was wearing the midnight blue Anthony Sinclair suit that Masons and Sons have very kindly made for me and Matt, and we spoke about it in the concert, and I said, and I meant what I was trying to say clearly was just how comfortable. I couldn't believe I still can't believe
Yes.
how comfortable they feel, because I've never had a suit of that quality in my life, and you really do feel the difference. But yeah, and I said it felt like I was wearing a tracksuit, which got a good laugh, but perhaps not quite in the way that I meant it. I meant it as a compliment. I really did.
He's like, "No, no, 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 no." By the way, in honor of that remark, I don't know if you noticed this, Calvin, but I am wearing the
Yeah.
Scaramanga tracksuit that he wears at the beginning of the film and drinking a Guinness, just like he was doing. So,
How did I not put that together? That explains the Guinness. Oh,
yeah, yeah,
I didn't get the
very good.
Guinness, but I did see the tracksuit. Yeah.
yeah.
Very cool.
Got to theme it. By the way, this year, I will say for people that are, making decisions, um, not that this will sway you one way or the other, but I have a lot of costume changes this year. Like,
Ooh.
it's like Cher, Lady Gaga type level of costume changes because we have a lot of anniversaries, as Warren said. So
Mm.
there may be some thematic moments, even in accordance to the Moneypenny that we
Yeah,
have.
oh, wow.
Ooh.
Yeah, because we've also got View to a Kill 40 and Thunderball 60. So yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing music to mark all 4 anniversaries as our special items. So
Ooh,
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
what do you have from
amazing.
GoldenEye?
Well, Do I reveal? In
I
fact,
don't know.
it's printed in the program actually, so I can tell you. Yeah.
Give Calvin the exclusive.
I think I've heard rumblings of this. I
Go
think I
on.
know what you're going to come out with, but come out with it.
No, no, go on. You tell me. What do you think it is?
Is it the experience of love?
Very good. It
It
is,
is.
which is the first time, believe it or not, this is the only song of the whole series, if you include all of the obviously the main things, but the end credits, the things within the films like Dirty Love, for example, and we've even done Make It Last All Night, but we've never done Experience of Love.
Mm.
Partly because there's actually quite a lot going on vocally towards the end. There's lots of different parts. So over the course of this year, we're going to really work that up. And I know it's not necessarily everybody's favorite song, but it for me actually it does actually bring back memories of being in the cinema. There's something there's something I find really amazing about some of those end credit songs where you've just sat through a brilliant Bond film. Particularly the ends of License to Kill and Living Daylights. I also have the same feeling about those songs. I have a real affection for those songs because I can just remember the feeling every time I watch that film of it coming to the end and having just really enjoyed all three of those films. I love all three of them. They're definitely sort of high up my list. Living Daylights and License to Kill are really high up my list. So I have a real affection for those end credit songs and Experience of Love. Whilst it may not be the most popular song, I think I'm really looking forward to doing it, I have to say.
Well, honestly, Warren, I think that's, the beauty of you doing it is that, like, I mean, I've said this to you several times before, but, Kerry's version of Another Way to Die is just, leaps and bounds. Like, I never thought I could like that song. And your guys' version of it is just, like, it's a highlight, honestly, every time I come to see the show now, hearing that song. So I can't wait to hear what you do with Experience of Love. But I love that because you're so faithful to the music and so respectful of it, and yet it still has your own twist, like your fingerprints on it, which is, I think it's quite a remarkable thing that you do, honestly.
Thanks. I think that's kind of it's my job, obviously, first and foremost, to get it right. But I think that's probably where I think we've got it right is that I think being a Bond fan, like you guys, deeply, I think when my opinion, when other people do it at Bond concerts now, I mean, we started, we were the first ones that ever did it. No one else was doing it, and there are a few around now. But I think other people look at it as like oh, we've done ABBA, we've done Beatles, now we're going to do a Bond concert. But with ours, I think at the center of it, it's all driven by a deep love, and I think because I've spent so much time around the Bond community, both being part of it and contributing and consuming, I really understand what it is that us as Bond fans want. I think sometimes I would go as far as say I understand more. I think I understand more what they want than they realize. Because Another Way to Die is a prime example. If I put a poll out and said which songs would you like us to play, everyone would put Another Way to Die at the bottom of the list. But actually, you'll know, and if anyone's not seen the show, please give it a chance. When we do it, because of the way we do it, it's a real uplifting, energetic, adrenaline-fueled experience. And I can't not do it because I know that it's going to really raise everybody's heart rates and stuff and get the pulse racing. That's one of the things.
I got to mention something about that song because it's a really good dovetail. I know what Warren is saying is true because my wife knew that the three of us were talking, and she said to me, make sure you get on video that the non-Bond fans will love this too. And there are people who are thinking, watching your channel right now, oh, I'm a Bond fan, I want to go. This is the type of evening and event, even the pre and the post moments, that you can actually bring a non-Bond fan to, and they will love it. Because it's not that she's a non-Bond fan, but she just wants great art and great music. And that particular song that you just said is something that she would never listen to otherwise. And she said she heard it. And she said, that guy's voice, she doesn't know the names. She goes, that guy's voice and the way they interpreted that song was absolutely amazing. And like you said, it was energetic. And then you've got like ballady, and then you're feeling emotion. And she said, the amount of time that those things happen goes so quickly because you're taking on a ride. And whether you're a Bond fan or not, and I usually say this in my opening the last couple of years, I say, for you non-Bond fans in the room, you're going to leave a little bit more like a Bond fan. I mean, it really is transformational.
You know something? This is something I don't really talk about enough, actually. You just reminded me of something that is very, very tangible. This definitely is a thing. It's really funny watching the patterns over the years because very often with our touring show, when I speak to people, the partners, the plus ones, are coming along really as like a favor, if you like, or like, I'm doing this for my because he's a big Bond fan. But actually, they come away almost enjoying it more because maybe their expectations are lower. So the difference is a bigger jump. And actually, I find that the following year, it's the partners that are more keen to come back because I think in some ways they go, actually, I can do this for my partner, but I know I'm going to really enjoy it as well. So it's like double win because I'm going to enjoy it, but also I'm, cashing or putting a favor in the bank with my partner here by bringing them something that they love.
Hmm.
Well, it's exactly as you say. Like it is great music. Just even outside of being a Bond fan, outside of seeing the films and all that kind of stuff, it is just and it has been amazing to see the orchestra expand over the years as well, and just the whole
Yeah.
stage production is so elevated. It's really like like last year with the gigantic golden guns that you had on the stage. That was so amazing. Like having, and I can't imagine the time and expense and effort that goes into like creating those kinds of like really bespoke
Yeah.
props. Do you still have them tucked away somewhere, or did you have to
That
dismantle them?
they're on the Golden Guns are on every show now. We did it was
Oh, excellent.
originally I bought them to go in the foyer, so when people come in, they get their picture with them.
Yeah.
But one of the shows we went to, there wasn't room. I'm like, what are we gonna do with them? I was just sticking behind the band, and as soon as it went up, we were like, oh my god, they're staying there every show because it looks
Yeah.
amazing. But I mean that's something I love doing, and I think it feeds into what I was saying earlier about being a Bond fan at heart. There's I always have so many ideas going to these shows. Last year, you saw half the ideas I had, and the other half, for various reasons on the day, they just weren't able to do them. But so for those that weren't there last year, because we had the Goldfinger 60th, we had an amazing model painted in gold on a bed on the stage on one side of the stage, in that exact pose. And the detail that went into it, even to the point where I had a screenshot on my phone, and I'm saying, and we'd been talking about this leading up to show, and I was saying to her that this is exactly what we're going to get, and she was trying to get the arm exactly in the right place. And then we had a pile of gold bars on the other side. And we did a bit from the laser beam in the film. And the original idea was we're going to have a red laser shooting down from the back of the room onto a spot on the stage with some sparks. And unfortunately, the laser, when we plugged it in, we couldn't get it to work. So that's one of those things that just had to go by the wayside.
It was still pretty amazing all the same, I have to say. It was again because it is the production values that you bring to it as well. It's
Oh,
it
can I?
feels it's a real like sort of A star, production and experience. It's really quite special
Totally.
what you put together.
I want to give a word of warning to your audience because there was something that happened last year that people can avoid. So if you want to get a ticket for this or the pre-show, there were so many people that wanted to go to the post-show because what happens
Yeah.
is when you experience the concert, you want to talk to people. You don't want to go home.
Mm.
You want to talk to people. You want to engage with other fans. You want to connect. There were so many people that were trying to get into the post show and they couldn't because they didn't
Yeah.
have tickets. So if you want to do the post show, I would say get the tickets to the post show because you are not going to want to go home right afterwards. You're going to want to share in I call it the afterglow. I don't know if that's appropriate, but it is. You're going to want to share in that moment.
It is quite special because and it goes back to what we talked about at the start of this about having these Bond gatherings really for fans to come together, and it's you're never more galvanized than after you've heard 3 hours of Bond music, so it's really just a lovely experience having everyone come together and just geeking out about which tracks we all really enjoyed and what have you. So it's I completely echo your sentiments there, David.
Yeah.
But what about for you guys as well? Because it must be so great for you to get out from behind the camera and meet all the people that follow. Because I imagine for both of you, it's a steady stream of people coming up and saying, "Hey, Calvin, David," and it must be really nice to have those moments. Because I guess you probably don't get loads of other opportunities
No, it's very nice. Yeah, it's very flattering. It is nice because it is sort of in a way it's I think these events are really quite lovely because I think for the people who maybe don't have you've got friends who know Bond but they're not like Bond obsessives like we are and like so many other people are. It is a good experience to sort of come together and meet fellow fans, and in a way it makes it easier for people like me, I guess, because it's sort of like I don't I can just chat away all night. It's just sort of it's quite nice, and then people might recognize me from YouTube, so it's sort of like oh that's that shorthand I guess that you get from that is quite nice. What's your experience, David?
It's probably one of the nicest events in that regard of just meeting people and connecting because I mean, I'm hosting, but I'm not planning it. Like, Warren has to do so many details with his team, and there is a true team around it that are focusing on everything. So I can go and just sort of be myself. And all the other events that I host during the year that I planned and execute and all these things, I'm working so hard. Like the gather-alls are so difficult for me because I'm doing everything. But this is one event where I can just kind of go and be myself. And because of that, I can hear people's stories, and people like love to share stories or how they are engaged with the channel. And it's really, it's wonderful moments. I really get to feel like we're connecting in a very unique way. I love it.
Speaking of gather-alls, actually, David, I'm curious though, because this does become a bit of sort of like a weekend of events, really, if you will. Are you planning on any kind of? Because you did, you put together I didn't want to say it was smaller because there was an awful lot of people there, and it took up a
Yeah.
whole like room in that casino, the
Yeah.
Hippodrome. So it was certainly not small. But
Yeah.
are you planning on any other kind of similar sort of get
Yeah.
together like that?
There will be, and I think they'll really come to fruition as we get closer. But people come in, which is so wonderful, early. They enjoy London, they enjoy events on Friday. I'm sure there'll be some things that crop up on Saturday as well. There are early discussions about how do we while away the time together. And I think just people right now are really focusing on Sunday, obviously, because as I said, that is the entree. It's like we want to get sort of settled there. But I dare say there probably will be other opportunities during the weekend.
Can I just say,
Exciting.
actually, as well, the great thing about this setup is that it is really flexible because there are the people that do come in for the whole weekend and they can dive into everything.
Hmm.
But the way that I always position the concert itself, the concert runs from 5 till 8:30 p.m. So if you just want to come in and do the concert and you're UK based, for the most part, you can still get back out and get to where within reason, unless you're right up north or something, but you can pretty much get home and still be at work the next day without having a ridiculously late night. So you don't have to do all of the events, and it would be amazing to have people come in and do all of them, but you can just dive in and do that concert. Or like for a lot of the people coming in from overseas, they'll come in for the whole weekend, and there's always lots to do. So it's great flexibility, I think, in that way.
It turns into the number one Bond weekend of the year, and I'll say it because Warren can't, but it just does. I mean, it turns into this wonderful vortex, this black hole of Bond things, products and people, and even the smaller things where people just get together for dinners or Duke's Martini, or just they become very
Yeah.
special.
Yeah, rules gatherings always a good
Oh
one,
yeah.
isn't it? Yeah, go for a meal at rules.
Hmm.
Well, David and Warren, thank you so much for joining me for this chat. This has gotten me so excited. I can't tell you because how many months is it? Like May, June, July, August.
Too many.
6 months.
Six.
Okay,
Yeah.
that'll whittle down quite quickly. I hope not to wish my life away for every yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also very lucky, Warren, that that these your cue the music shows land on weekends very close to my birthday, so it's always a really sort of like nice but like pre-birthday treat for me now. These concerts, so
Excellent.
yeah, I don't know how deliberate that weekend is.
It's all around your birthday, Calvin. It's all around it.
Hmm.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. I will obviously be seeing you that weekend in October. For people watching, there are a variety of links below to cue the music, and so you can get tickets and scope out, whatever you want to go to. But thank you very, very much, gentlemen, and
Pleasure.
hope to see
Thank
you
you.
before October. Um,
Absolutely. Our pleasure, Calvin. Thank you so much.
Thanks, gents. Thank you, Calvin. Yeah.